Hello everyone and welcome back to Mach 1 Mindset. Today we're diving into Civil Air Patrol Learn to Lead 9.3 Public Trust. Before we get started, please make sure you like, subscribe, and of course comment down below if you have any questions. Additionally, this follows Volume 3, pages 11 through 13, so feel free to follow along. Let's dive into it. Today we are going to talk about public trust, why it matters, and why organizations and leaders are expected to honor it. To understand public trust, we need to first start with a core American idea. The Declaration of Independence states that governments derive their just powers from the consent of the governed. James Madison later reinforced this idea when he wrote if men were angels, no government would be necessary. This message is clear. Power requires consent, and consent requires trust. This idea applies not only to the government, but to all organizations and leaders who hold power. Whether public or private, leaders are accountable to the people affected by their actions. The public rules. Because people are not perfect, society expects oversight. The news media, watchdog groups, courts, and public also scrutinize leaders and organizations. When trust is broken, consequences will follow. History provides many examples. The Deepwater Horizon oil spill shows what happens when public trust is lost. A private company's actions caused massive environmental damage across the Gulf Coast. For months, oil flowed into the ocean. As a result, the public lost trust in the company, and the organization faced lasting damage due to its reputation and credibility. The lesson is simple. Trust once lost is hard to regain. A public trust also matters to indirect leadership. Leaders often rely on others to carry out instructions. One challenge is knowing whether guidance is truly being followed. A famous example comes from the rock band Van Halen. They included a strange requirement in their contracts: backstage bowls of M&Ms with no brown ones allowed. This was not about the candy, it was a test. If promoters followed this small detail, it showed they had read and followed the entire contract. If they failed, it signaled larger risk in safety and performance. This story highlights a key idea. Trust must be verified, especially when leaders operate from a distance. This leads us to corporate social responsibility, often called CSR. Corporate social responsibility describes how organizations manage their operations to produce a positive impact on society. CSR is not usually required by law. Instead, it reflects ethical leadership and respect for the public trust. Several major CSR issues stand out. First is corruption. Corruption is the abuse of entrusted power for personal gain. Bribery, conflicts of interest, and misuse of funds all violate public trust. Corruption directly contradicts the value of the service before self. Second is stewardship. Leaders are expected to manage resources responsibly. Stewardship means caring for what does not belong to you. Whether it is a cap aircraft or a company's long-term stability, good leaders protect resources for future use, even if it requires short-term sacrifice. The third is philanthropy. Many organizations give back through charitable efforts. While motivations may vary, the outcome matters. Communities benefit and public trust is strengthened. Fourth is sustainability. Sustainability means recognizing environmental limits and thinking long-term. Businesses that reduce waste, conserve resources, and plan responsibly demonstrate respect for society and future generations. Fifth is human rights. Organizations are increasingly held accountable for how their products are made. When companies ignore labor conditions or human dignity, public backlash follows. Ethical supply chains are now an exception, not a bonus. Finally, there is transparency. Transparency allows the public to see how decisions are made and how resources are used. Audits, public records, and open meetings exist because transparency builds trust. When organizations operate in the open, confidence grows. One of the strongest examples of honoring public trust comes from the Tylenol case. In 1982, 7 people died after taking cyanide-laced Tylenol. The tampering occurred after the product reached store shelves. Legally, the company was clearly not at fault. Still, Johnson & Johnson made a bold choice. They recalled every bottle of Tylenol nationwide at a cost of over $100 million. They redesigned the packaging to prevent future tampering. They did not do the minimum, they did what was right. As a result, the company preserved public trust and set a new standard for corporate responsibility. So what does this mean for leaders, including cadet officers? It means leadership is not just about authority, it is about responsibility. Leaders hold power only because others allow them to. That permission depends on trust, ethics, and accountability. Public trust is fragile. Once broken, it damages organizations, leaders, and missions. Strong leaders understand this and act accordingly, because in the end, leadership without trust is not leading at all.